So we are back at A2TP podcast. She fucking up.
No,
A2TP podcast, episode 83. She's slow. She's back.
You usually do like your voice prep and
I
all
already
that.
did that. I'm
you
good.
just went from prayer to start.
Yep.
You threw me off. But
No voice prep. We prepped, 82 times before. So we at 83 now. I don't know how much prepping we need. But we are back. Your boy International Walk.
Your girl Tosh, the co-hostess with the mostest.
And we are back for another episode of A2TP podcast.
Today, can I call myself Safari Tosh?
No, this is they gonna call you that just by it alone without you calling yourself that.
Safari Tosh.
Yep. We are back. Everybody out there, catch us on A2TPodcast.com. Catch us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Anchor, Radio Public, Breaker, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Twitter, and Spotify. How are you?
I am doing great. Mentally, I'm a 9.
Mentally, you're a 9?
Yep, I feel good. I'm a 9 mentally. Work is a 7. It's, we got a lot going on. We getting ready to do some things. So it's like that. It's just work. And it's a lot of it. But I had a great meeting today. Mid-year review. Y'all in the corporate. Well, you do mid-year reviews too, right? Mm-hmm. Even though this is kind of past mid-year. And it went great. And it just kind of, every now and then we need that positive affirmations from our, just to know we're doing a good job.
No, you need that.
You don't need that at work?
No. And you know where I'm not trying to play her, but this is one of the things that is, you get Tasha, this comes with Tasha. She need affirmation.
Not like a pat on the back, but just that motivation to, like, you sometimes recognition is, it makes you feel good, and it kind of just recharges the battery in your back to keep going, to know that, okay, my hard work isn't in vain. It is seen, especially by the people that pay me, because hopefully that means it will make you pay me more. But I also sometimes, I want affirmations from my husband too. So words of affirmation is one of my love languages, and I have to admit that. So work is a 7, but I feel good. Finances are 9 because I can't spend any money.
Okay. Physicality.
You know how they say blink twice if you're being kidnapped? I'm blinking twice, y'all. He's holding me captive and I can't shop. It's like, no, he's not really doing this. A challenge that I've given myself. So, physically, I'm going to say.
Challenge you give me yourself?
Well, you.
I'm just messing with you.
No, I'm saying we did agree, but for me, you know what really made me want to really stick to it, despite the fact, we talked about it. The fact that it's so hard, that if to me it felt so hard, I didn't like that feeling. Like, why are you really struggling? Like, my fingers was itching. I wanted to add to cart, and the fact that my fingers was itching, I don't like that about myself. I don't want to feel like I just don't want to feel like anything has a hold of me. And so that for me was more motivation. Like, you don't have no shopping problem like that. Like, why are you struggling like this? So
physicality.
Physically, I feel good. I'm gonna say I'm an 8.5. I've been doing some things, keeping my promises to myself, and that makes me feel good. Got some ways to go, but I feel good.
There you go. There you go.
You sleeping?
No.
How are you?
I am. I'm good. I'm good.
Just good.
Yeah.
I know you don't have an ACL anymore.
I know I don't. Mentally, I'm a little bit distraught because I don't have an ACL.
Sidebar, people, in our 21 years, he has told me on several occasions he lost his ACL, his MCL, his PCL, his meniscus. His whole knee has been like traumatically injured multiple times over the years. So don't worry, his ACL will grow back. It's grown back probably 17 times. So
anyway, I don't have an ACL now, and it's mentally, straining because I can't straighten my leg. But finances, I'm okay.
How you go? What you?
Because you didn't care about my.
Babe, I care, and I care. I elevated your leg. I told you
mentally,
I would make you a whole
I am
press.
a 8.
Okay.
Okay. Financially.
You skipping?
No, I'm not. I'm looking at my paper here.
Okay.
Financially, I am 8.
Okay.
Okay. because I'm recouping. Work, because I got a wife. Work, I am like, they got the butter out the duck last couple days, y'all. So let me just say that. Work, I'm just going to say an 8.
That's good, though.
Physicality, 7+ because of work. And not having an ACL. Like, how can you feel good when you don't have an ACL? Wows and woes.
My wow is, we got a chance to spend some great quality time with our family this week, and it just made me feel really, really good. Just had fun spending time with the kids. I know I told y'all this many times, but we got tons of nieces and nephews. So we had our Fab Five for my sister, had a swim date. And what really made me feel good about that? They range from ages 18 to 5. And, the 18-year-old, of course, don't want to hang out with, his aunties and uncle all the time. But he called me like, hey, what's up? Like, I know you got some things playing with the kids. Can I go? I just felt good. Like, oh, he want to be with us. So just the family time, the quality time. My husband came along, for a bit just to chill with us some. And we just had a really great day. So that was my wow.
He had called me first, though, and was like, they going out. We getting butt naked hoes. And I was like, no, bro, I'm happily married.
Okay. Okay. My woe, this part of the show, of course, we know, and we got to think about it. Just the world was a woe this week because there were several different instances that happened, traumatic, tragic incidents that happened throughout the week, that it's just sad times. And I just pray for all of the families who have suffered tragedies, lost loved ones. That's just, so again, I don't have a woe specifically that has impacted my life, gratefully, but the world can make you like, if you are too in the mix, and I know people want to watch the news to stay in the know and all that, but sometimes you got to pull back because it will bring you down. You will be crying at all of the tragedy that goes on. So
that's definitely
this was just a tragic week to hear a lot of different sad stories. So
my wows is that I'm days away from vacation, which I'm looking super forward to. Plus it's my birthday, so I just like being away. And
my guy is going to be the big 4-5. I
was ready to say I like being with my girl, and it's weird that she just said my guy. But that threw me off a little bit because I was like, I thought I said my girl, but I mean my guy.
His brain.
But yeah, so that's days away from vacation, and my woe is just I don't have an ACL. It's gone. It might come back tomorrow, but it's not here today.
So should we like get a wheelchair and stuff to push you through the airport? Like
I said, it might come back tomorrow.
I'm just saying, like I don't
know, Tasha, if we need a wheelchair or not. Maybe we do. I don't know.
Okay. Would you like to go to the emergency room?
No, but maybe I might need a wheelchair if I can't walk in the airport, and you'll push.
You think you need a cast or something?
It's not broken. I don't have an ACL. My woe is just I have more.
Oh.
Are you gonna keep interrupting the show?
I'm sorry.
Okay. I don't have an ACL, and on a more serious note, just the violence against women is it tears my heart apart. I cry at there's a woman, I saw a video of a woman being arrested, and just the fear in her voice made me cry. Like her calling for Jesus and things like that. I just don't like when women are put in compromised situations where they didn't put themselves there. And I'm torn up about the shit that happened this week as far as the domestic violence stuff. That's kind of what we're getting into. Domestic violence in Philadelphia. And we're speaking about Philadelphia because we from Philadelphia. And we know a lot of people in Philadelphia. Domestic violence has touched her family, my family, our friends. Like, we know a lot of people that been in domestic violence situations. So domestic violence in Philly. 43 domestic violence murders in 2021 compared to 18 in 2020 or 28 in 2019.
So, okay, 28 in 2019, 18 in 2020, 43 in 2021.
Yes,
Wow.
this is a jump because of the gun permit laws. A lot of these domestic violence situations, although not of the recent, but a lot of these situations are with guns, and guys shooting their girls, some girls shooting guys, but most of the time the headlines reading the guys are shooting girls, and most of the stuff is tied to people getting guns like that. There was a protection, an act called Act 79 for people that have protection orders on them.
Okay.
So
for people that have protection orders against
them. So
okay.
Act 79 says anybody with a protection order has to give back their gun. If you have a gun permit and somebody put a protection order on you because of a domestic violence situation, you have to comply and relinquish your handgun or your rifle or whatever that you have registered. 2020 and 2021, out of 2,000 people, because 2,000 people a year are called upon for a
PFA.
A PFA. 13%.
Protection from abuse.
13%.
Gave back guns.
Out of 2,000 people.
So do they know that the other people had guns?
What do you mean they know that the other people had guns?
So 13% out of 2,000. So what percent didn't give them back?
67.
No, but what I'm saying is 13% of that 2,000 relinquished guns. It doesn't mean that all 2,000 people had guns. So,
yes, the 2,000 people that they asked to give back their guns because of protection orders on them.
Okay, I'm sorry. I missed
out of the 2,000 people, if you're not even in the conversation, if you're not.
No, I thought you were saying 2,000 people had PFAs on them.
No,
but 2,000 people with PFAs were requested to relinquish their weapons.
Yes,
wow.
And only 13% gave them back. Now, out of Delaware County, Chester, Bucks, and Montgomery County, the compliance is 45% to 55%.
Talk about a majority different demographic.
There's 100,000 domestic abuse cases a year in Philadelphia. Cops respond to 100,000.
You know what's staggering about that and sad is we know that not everybody call the cops. So you think 100,000, that's astronomical. And just to think, we know that's not even all of them. That's horrible.
Not at all. What do you think some of the reasons men hit women are? I mean, hit women for? Whether it's some striking bullshit reason that they make up or some internal shit within them.
You know, some men, I realize, or I have learned through the years, it's almost one of them things, it's learned behavior. They see nothing wrong with it. Like, it's not even like a thing where hitting a woman is like a secret behind closed doors thing. Some men hit women and it's like they don't hide from it, or not saying they necessarily brag about it, but they might say like, I slapped the crap out of her or something like that, or will hit you in public, in the street, not hide it. So it's like a learned behavior that they really don't see anything wrong with it. And I'm not blaming women by no stretch of the imagination. Some women engage in those situations with men, and it's like accepted in some situations. But since we're talking about men, I think some men that they do as they saw, and like, I don't want to say they were taught to hit women, but they weren't necessarily taught that it's not a good thing.
So let's stop there just to go deeper into the conversation. Let's take out the men who you think it's learned behavior. What about the people who never saw that and still end up hitting women?
Like what insecurities, ego, pride.
Right.
I feel like in some scenarios,
control issues,
and also comes in situations lack of control. They feel like when they don't have and they don't know how to manage their anger, they lash out. I know of some people who have been in relationships, and I'm going to say over like a 10-year span, and I'm not saying this is acceptable, but over a 10-year span, they may have had like 3 or 4 domestic violence situations. And that's more, 3 or 4 too many. But in their minds, they might think like once every other year, he might, act out, or we might get into a bad argument where something will happen. He might smack somebody upside the head or something like that. And it's one of them scenarios where that gentleman knows it ain't right. It ain't like behavior that's demonstrated every single day. And then, they're sorry. They want to make up for it. And, 2 years go by and nothing ever happens. But it's one of them situations where men get frustrated. And, again, they don't know how to handle their emotions. And they will...
And we just talked about this the last show. We talk about men are more kind of black and white. Like more solution driven. So if it's a problem in a relationship or we're in a heated argument, what makes a man think the solution to controlling this situation is to beat you up?
Some men don't have tools. They don't know how to communicate, or they get so angry they don't know how to they don't know how to cool down. I will say, like, transparency moment. You have done a great job at learning to manage your anger.
Because I was going to say I had an issue with like having a short fuse and going from 0. It's like it takes a lot, but when I go from 0 to 10, I can be at 10 really fast.
And I say that to say that growing up in a household where there was domestic violence, we would have arguments sometimes, and you would be at 10. And in my mind, this is just my screwed up mind, I would think like,
we're about to fight.
This about to be the day that he think he gonna hit me. Like, because you would be so mad. And I mean, thank God that that's not you. You never did. And I don't know what that is. I can't say I don't, because I can take count on one hand how many times I've been mad and wanted to hit you. But I know, that's just not what we do. But from a man's perspective, maybe you can give some insight. What in your mind went through, like, how did you calm down? Because there have been moments where, like, I could see the vein popping in your head, and I'd be thinking...
But the vein popping in your head, doesn't mean somebody's going to get beat up. It just means...
I'm just saying you are at that point where you're so angry that someone from the outside looking in would think that's the natural progression. Like, that has to be what's about to happen. No, but it just hasn't.
What you're seeing is exactly that. Like, it's a lot of anger, but it's not out of a when I'm ready to fight, it's my anger comes out of fear. And when we had arguments in the past, those arguments didn't have fear attached to them. So it wasn't like I thought my life or I'm in a situation and I need to control this that much where I'm fearful. So my anger, and then that's when the hands start to flying. But in those situations, it was more of, okay, I feel misunderstood. Like, that's why I'm going from level to level to level, because she ain't hearing me, or you're not matching the energy. Lots of times it's that. Like, I'm mad, I'm hollering, and you're like, calm.
I don't holler.
Sometimes you don't. Sometimes
99% of the time.
Let's say 95.
Okay, 95%
of the time you don't holler, but there's a percentage.
And let's just say,
because that's like saying you don't have anger.
No, of course, but my anger more so is like, for me, I can't allow. I know when I.
Let me finish. Hold on. Let me finish what I'm saying. But it's it wasn't attached to the sense of fear. So I never was going to put hands on you, but yeah, I could have passed out being like as mad as I was.
Sometimes you used to be so mad, it looks like you would be foaming at the mouth.
Yeah, I was ready to say I would be frothy at the mouth, dry like real fast, but it would be like, okay, you might feel the energy of this motherfucker think he gonna hit me. That's the last thing on my mind. Right. It's like I'm probably ready to argue like this for the next hour and go hoarse, but I'm not gonna hit you. Like, that's not even a thought in my mind, but I am going to get my point across. You will hear me before we calm down.
But what I'm saying, okay, at that point, what helps you? Well, I guess it's different. So what helps you calm down, it doesn't matter, because the thought is never to hit me. But so I guess for some men, when they get to that point, that feeling of being misunderstood or not having control thing. They feel like that's what they have to resort to.
Yeah, because when a man is in any type of situation like that and it's volatile, you want to be able to control it. And women, not saying that it's right or wrong, but in those moments, women can provoke and not necessarily and well, when you say provoke, it's a negative connotation attached to it. But women can say and do stuff and entice a man, but it doesn't mean that he should hit you. But the provoking doesn't help. It doesn't help what's going on inside.
And you're right. Man. It gives a negative connotation. However, I understand what you're saying is that when I'm dealing regardless with what the woman is doing, it doesn't give the green light. No. But it's understood
that it doesn't help the situation.
Right. It could like trigger it.
And you're wishing that, I don't know whether the woman is provoking and she's wanting that. Like, why are you just stabbing the bull, or especially when you see situations where men want to leave and women be like, no. You ain't leaving. It's like what's that about? It's like he trying to leave, and you like, no, motherfucker, you ain't leaving.
Can of worms to that, and I don't know if you were going to go down that path, because I recently talked to someone who I guess you could say encountered like a domestic. I don't want to say domestic abuse, but a domestic relations issue, and what they said to me was that this being the first time was like seeing that emotion out of him was like, it made them feel like, oh, you do care, because they're more chill, more mellow. And it was like I needed to see a reaction. I needed to know that your feelings and emotions were in this, which is disturbing. That's that a bullshit. Woman needs that to feel like you care. Because one, I can understand a man.
Why can't I just simply say I love you?
Well, but sometimes I can understand you needing more than that. That you to just have somebody that's always very melancholy, always very mellow. You can kind of feel like you question their intent or you question their feelings. But wanting them to show emotions is one thing. Wanting them to show violent emotion, that shouldn't fulfill you.
Yeah, but you shouldn't force anybody, man or woman, to manufacture emotions that's not there for the sake of your satisfaction.
Well, not that's manufacture.
If it's not there, it ain't there. You want me to make it up? Like, you want me to feel intense about this situation, and I don't. And now you mad at me. So want me fake intensity just so you please? Like, that's selfish. Like, I process things or how a woman processes things is your own individual thing. Like, I'm a man. I can't get mad at you because I'm frantic about this situation and you like, yo, calm down, chill. This is what we're going to do. Okay, maybe I should just stop and listen to you and calm the situation down. Maybe I don't need to be that frantic. But for me to be like, I don't want to hear shit you say unless you frantic like me.
No, I think you misunderstood what I'm saying. It wasn't that there was the need for them to show that anger emotion. It's like, I want you to show any emotion on any day, good, whether but because you never show emotion, and now in this scenario you are showing emotion, just so happens that it's like in a more volatile way. It kind of was like a little fulfilling to be like, oh, you do care. Now on the other end, your emotion could be, you just being happy and jovial and like you showing me that emotion because you want me, you care about me, you like me, you love me. But the lack of any emotion in that situation just gave some sense of fulfillment, which I think is a bigger issue that anybody who feels that way, man or woman, that need to address, like why that fulfills you.
We both grew up in households with domestic violence that happened in them. When domestic violence was going on in your house, did you ever, and now that we've grown and we see these situations that we're going to talk about, did you ever think for a moment in those times, if you can remember back how you felt, did you think like somebody could die? Because
I don't think.
For me, I was like desensitized by it. It was like, oh, they fighting again. And it wasn't like, but now it's like, it only takes one time and somebody could actually die in a domestic violence situation. But I never thought to myself, oh shit, like somebody could die. Like they fighting upstairs, let me turn the TV up or some shit.
So I definitely wasn't desensitized. As y'all know, I have two sisters. Mm-hmm. I'm the oldest. And surprisingly, I was the more sensitive. My youngest sister, I think she was more like traumatized by it because almost to the point where she was quiet about it. But my middle sister, she was desensitized. Like, I mean, just to be like, we're 4 years apart. So if I was like 12, she was 8, and they would be fighting, I would wake her up crying like, like, you know, they in there fighting again. And she'd be like, go to sleep and you won't hear it. But to me, it messed me up. Like, I hated it. So I never thought anybody would die. I wasn't desensitized by it, but I don't think I ever thought, and maybe because it was, I don't know, it was never any weapons involved, so I never thought like somebody would be beat to death. You know, so I mean, I guess if it was a situation,
but you didn't think nobody could beat anybody with their hands?
I just never thought it would go that far.
Okay.
So yeah, it never. I mean, I know that's possible. I know, but
is that some kind of like, not accepting? I can't think of the word. Like, not deflecting, but, just not
suppression of that reality.
Yeah, like.
I just didn't think that
if somebody is punching somebody, obviously they can punch somebody and punch them in their head or fall and hit their head. Like, why do you think? I never thought it that far. I just thought, okay, somebody's gonna have black eyes, busted lips, and be beat up and hurt. Like that was like the extent of it. I never thought like somebody would be beat to death. So I mean, yeah, it just didn't. So you never thought that? I
never thought anybody would. Now there was one scenario that was like really bad where it was just really bad. Like we got put out the house, so it was like we're not even going to be here. I mean, which is crazy that we would want to be in the house to hear and see, not really see, but to hear what's going on. But to put us out was like, oh my God, what's really about to happen? So that kind of scared me more because I thought maybe in that scenario, like, how bad is this about to get? So that might have been the one instance where I thought, not to sound like crazy, like this could go too far. All of it is too far, of course, but it was like, wait a minute, this ain't never happened before.
I remember being in the house and watching TV with my older brother downstairs, and obviously our pop had came in and probably had like not being seen for 8-9 days. I was upstairs in this room, you know, with my mom, and we obviously hear the commotion going on. Boom, 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 boom. But not like a whole bunch of commotion, just like sound like people stomping around. We like, oh shit, they fighting again. And this dude come downstairs with the mattress, like running out the door, and stabbings, like bleeding all over the place. And I think that's when we realized, like, oh shit, like somebody could die, like die. Like this dude is bleeding all over the place, like open wounds and stuff, and he could die. Like, you know, he getting stabbed. Like this is crazy. And cops and stuff like that. Like, so when I was young, that shit was traumatizing. Like to see a man like in that situation being like, you hear about getting stabbed and stuff like that, but to see that shit up close is like, damn, like he got wounds all over him. Like,
so I'm happy that you say you were traumatized, but initially you said you were desensitized by it. So what is that? Was it like the blood that like snatched you?
Yeah, I was ready to say it was that time, because it was like we saw and it was like 2 more stabbings after that. But it was like just seeing the blood all over the house, down the walls, on the banister, down the steps, like all over it was like, damn, what just happened? Like that kind of shit. And I'm talking like all this transpiring within 15 minutes.
So in your mind, did you look at it like was your emotions around the fact this is a violent situation that's happening between 2 people and there's blood, not emotions around this is happening between my parents? Like it could have been any 2 people, and just seeing the blood and the stabbings was what was shocking, not the fact that it was your mom and dad.
No, it was my parents. It was because it was my mom and dad. Yeah, it wasn't because it was just, if it was 2 people I didn't know, I don't think I would have. I saw that stuff outside.
Okay.
But inside it was like, damn, like it's really at that level. Like blood, like, you know, right. People are bleeding, people are getting stabbed, people are picking up knives, and that kind of shit, like kids shouldn't be around. And when I say I was desensitized, because it was happening over and over again, but the traumatization, that's a word, right? That came in because it was like the first time we saw somebody get stabbed, and we sitting in our drawers. Like, I'm not outside in the street where I expect to see shit like that.
So you were desensitized to that moment, until that moment.
Yeah.
Now, you being the second oldest, Was this something like, how did your younger siblings handle it, or was it anything that was ever discussed? And you have a sister, so girls may
They
be
handled
different.
it horribly. They handled it horribly. They cried and shook and shivered. Yeah, all the time. They didn't once shrug it off. Like they were younger, and obviously, yeah, I have a sister and two small brothers, and they took it horribly. My older brother was the one that was like, it is what it is. Like, I ain't crying or showing no emotion. And obviously that's not his father. So, he may have looked at it or didn't have an attachment to it that way. But us, yeah, they took it horribly.
Okay.
I don't want to get away. Some of the reason abusers abuse. Abusers have an intense need to control the women that they abuse. Agree? Disagree? Yes?
I agree.
Abusers often do genuinely love the women that they beat up.
I agree.
Yep, I agree with that too. Abusers typically blame their girlfriend for forcing them to be violent.
Yes, definitely.
Women typically blame themselves for provoking their abuser.
Agree.
Do you know any people or any situations, any friends, like you in high school or anything, that were going through abuse like that and getting beat up and not telling nobody?
No,
If you did, would you have told?
Like told the cops or something?
If they didn't want to, like if you showed up and your girlfriend had a black fucking eye and you knew her husband did it or her boyfriend did it and kept showing up like that 3-4 times a year and kept telling you, no, it's cool, you wouldn't do nothing?
I probably would. I would, when it comes to domestics, that's a very sticky situation.
Matters of the heart.
Yeah, because you've been and called the cops on him, and she be ready to kill you because you called the cops on him. So that's a very sticky situation. I probably never. I do.
And that's that brainwashing thing when women typically they blame themselves. Like,
yeah, I have one friend.
That's hard for me to digest.
She used to, they used to tussle. She used to be in situations, get hit or whatever, and but she just kept on. Like, it wasn't, and it was weird because we still are friends.
She just kept on.
Like they never broke up, and you know who they are too. But I don't want to say no names. And we still are friends, and it was never anything that was discussed. And I don't want to imply like it was an ongoing thing. She was steadily getting beat, but she might have got a few times she might have got smacked upside her head or something like that. But it wasn't it wasn't anything that was discussed. It wasn't it was accepted.
This is one of those things
by her.
It makes you realize in this statement that abuse is it's not supposed to happen, but it's only supposed to be tolerated once. Mm-hmm. So, because when somebody do something to you, what do you think they should do?
What do I think?
If somebody hurt you, what do you think they should do?
They should apologize. They should
apologize, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when an abuser apologizes, that's a form of them taking control again.
Because control of your emotions.
Yeah, trying to lure you back in. But that should let you know that even though the person hurt you, you shouldn't even be accepting the apology.
Yeah, I mean, it all sounds good
because it's geared towards them fucking with your psyche again.
It all sounds good, but I mean, try telling that to a girl who doesn't have anybody else, and this is her kid's father or something. And if I know there's so many women in situations who don't leave because it's like, where the hell am I go? Right. Like, I leave, where am I going? It ain't no matter how much people might say just leave. Ain't too many people signing up for homelessness. Ain't too many people signing up to go to the shelter, especially if you have kids in tow. So
we're gonna get into that too.
Okay.
Men have poor impulse control and insecure.
I think so, but I think it can also be an excuse, that poor impulse control. Like, you ain't out here.
You don't believe that?
I do think in some scenarios, but I think it's an excuse. You have poor impulse control when it comes to your girl at home. Are you at work punching your boss in the face every time you say something?
That's the impulse. I don't have an impulse to punch him because I'm a bitch.
No,
I'm scared.
You do, but you control yourself.
No, I don't have the impulse to hit him because I fear that I might get beat up.
What I'm saying,
that's what's really going on inside for the men who beat up women and don't touch men. Like, I don't have that impulse even when I'm arguing to hit you because I fear that I'm a bitch and I'm gonna get beat up. I don't even want to hit you. But this woman, I feel like I can beat her. I can take command of that.
I think that is the case in a lot of scenarios. However, I think using that, having poor impulse control in some scenarios can be used as an excuse because, again, I'm sure you face other situations where you may not be scared, but you engage impulse control because you either think I don't want to go to jail or I don't want the repercussions of getting fired or whatever the scenario is. You ain't popping off and hitting everybody that say something smart. You ain't popping off and everybody that gets on your nerves, punch them in the face. So having poor impulse control, I agree. It can be the case in some scenarios, but I think some men use that as an excuse. To your point, okay, I got poor impulse control when it comes to her. I'm not going to even try to have control because, it is what it is. What am I going to lose if I hit her? Matter of fact, I might take out all my frustration on her from all the people that I didn't punch in the face that got on my
And that's
nerves.
what I'm saying. I'm going up. It's the reverse way. Like the impulse to control the situation with the woman is there. It's impulsive. Boom, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna shut her up. I'm gonna slap her. But with a man, I don't have that impulse. It's not that I'm controlling it. It's not even there.
Well, it might be, but that's what I'm saying for the scenario where it might be. Your boss getting you like, oh my God, like if he say one more thing to me, and if he say one more thing, you ain't gonna do nothing. But when it comes to her, you say one more thing, and she say one more thing, and you knocking her head off.
Right. Abusers feel entitled to abuse. Can you imagine that shit? Somebody's beating your ass and this nigga feels entitled to beat your ass.
But I think that goes back to the people who think like, a man slapped, she got smart and I slapped her. Like those are the men I think who will talk about it with their homies openly, like it ain't nothing. Like, yeah, she'll be all right when her lip go down.
Oh, I slapped the dog shit out of her.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. And this is big for everybody out there need to hear this. Abusers are unlikely to be cured.
I can agree.
And it's an 82% chance that they won't be cured. So if you wanted to know the numbers, 82% won't be cured.
Yeah, I mean, I think that number is fair because I was going to say, I do think some people in some cases can have the propensity to change. Mm-hmm. I would hate to say that people would just never change. And again, I am never making any excuses for any man that hits a woman. I will say some situations may be circumstantial. It just may be circumstantial, and it doesn't mean that that's going to be the behavior that you exhibit for the rest of your life. So that I think is a fair number, 18% to 82%.
To everybody out there, if you're experiencing some type of domestic violence situation, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is 800-799-7233. You can call somebody there and you can start a text conversation if you text 88788.
And we'll post this at the end of the episode so you won't have to remember. But say those numbers again, babe.
The number is 800-799-7233. You can call somebody or you can start a text chat with somebody at 88788.
It's sad because I heard that, I think this is around the holiday time, there was like some numbers that talked about the domestic abuse hotline. They were being so overwhelmed.
Yeah, and this is, that's sad how it's like I just gave that number out and I want people to call that if they're in a situation or if they're scared or fearful, or if that's your only resource that you have. I don't want you to turn away from it. But I also have to say that the domestic violence hotline turned down 6,160 requests for shelter each year from 2017 to 2021 because they only have 2 safe haven houses. It's only
That's
2.
In Philadelphia?
In Philadelphia. They only have 2 100-room safe haven of the houses that they have. So that's only 200 beds, 200 rooms. And they get 100,000 calls a year. And they turn down 6,160 requests per year from 17, 18, 19, 20 to 21 and only can accept 200 people. So
now
yeah,
I will
that's
say,
crazy.
ladies, don't let that stop. I mean, because there are other. I understand those are specific domestic violence havens. There are other shelters, and I
In
by
the
no
surrounding areas, I'm just speaking about Philadelphia, but you know, there's other counties and other states that's surrounding us, but that's
or
just a
just other
sad
shelters
stat.
in general. Yeah, and it by no means I can imagine that making that decision to say I'm going to live somewhere else. And we know in a lot of cases people don't want to go to family members. One, you don't want people in your business, you don't want people judging you. Some people may not want you to come because they feel like they don't want you to bring that drama to their house.
Do you know it's different types of domestic violence, such as and these are new. So obviously there's mental and there's physical and all that kind of stuff. But there's employment domestic violence.
No, what is that?
So 85%, and this is in Philadelphia, 85% of the victims reported their abuser kept them from sleeping. 1/3 reported their abuser withheld transportation at the last minute. 1/3 were beaten to the point where they couldn't work.
Oh wow. So that's considered employment abuse.
Domestic violence.
Okay.
There's poverty domestic violence. Citywide poverty rate is 27. I never understood how individual race rates are higher than the citywide. I don't know how that math works, but citywide poverty rate is 27%. That includes 31% of blacks, 41% of Hispanics, half of all single moms, and 1 in every 3 kids live in poverty. Abused individuals in poverty experience the greatest difficulty in gathering resources to seek safety.
I mean, I'm not shocked to hear that.
Poverty domestic violence.
Right, because you feel like you're stuck. Like, where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do. I don't have money to just up and move somewhere else. Like what I'm going to do. My kids got to go to school. We got, even if you do decide to leave, am I packing up all this stuff and taking it with me? If I don't, then I got to buy everything else. So it's one of the things.
But in hindsight, and this is just outside looking in, obviously you never was beat up, but you think it's worth it?
Hell no. But
I'm saying, is it worth it in the end? Like, should you have pulled your kids out of school that night or that week and left and not worried about they got to go to school tomorrow or they got, this and this? Like, you should have bounced that night or that first chance you got an opportunity to go outside.
But you have to think too, and of course I'm not a mom, but thinking from a maternal aspect, you think to yourself, a lot of women think to themselves they have to plan it out because, okay, I take my kids and I leave. Where am I going? Are they going to be protected? Am I going to be able to give them a place to sleep? Because let's say they got a bed to sleep in every night. They got, warm bed. They got heat. They got water. They got food, electricity. And I'm getting beat up. So now I pull them from that structure, which is, mentally traumatic for them. But I pull them from that. I ain't sure where they're going to sleep now. I ain't sure what they're going to eat. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep them warm. So, and I can imagine as a mother, that's a tough decision to make. So unfortunately, you might accept it the first, second, third time until you can get your ducks in a row. And for some women, that might be hard because if you need to move and go live somewhere else and you're in a relationship, if it's a situation where he's controlling, how you going to say, oh, well, I'm keeping my check to pay this down payment on a new apartment. So just the mental torment behind it, I can imagine until, and hopefully it's before it's too late, until you just throw caution to the wind and say, whatever, I'm just going to do it.
Right. I don't understand it at all because I'm a man and I don't beat women and I don't get beat on, but I can't. I understand the fear and the I don't want to call it brainwashing, but the Munchausen syndrome you get, right? Stockholm syndrome. Stockholm syndrome that you get when you are under that type of abuse, like in your head, like that, where you feel like I can't go nowhere and I gotta stay in the house with the guy that's beating me the fuck up. Like I'm scared to death. Like I'm shaking when I'm around.
But
and
you gotta
think, I jump and I gotta stay here. Like,
but you gotta think too.
Crazy.
In a lot of situations, that's not necessarily the dynamic. Like, okay, it may be a situation where y'all had an argument. You got beat up on a Thursday. that, maybe that Friday things were still kind of rocky. That Saturday he apologized. By Monday y'all good. And y'all might be good for a couple weeks. Y'all kind of back to your normal flow a couple months. And then something else happened and he hauled off and hit you. So in some situations, I'm saying it's not like a woman is living with a captor and they're constantly shaking it in fear. And I know that is the case in some scenarios. But that becomes
often though. So when you say it's 3 weeks from now, that becomes 2 weeks from now. That becomes 1 week from now.
Not necessarily. I mean, so okay, I can say living in my house, I was there till I was 18, literally 18 and a half. I would say it's weird because I would say my parents had bad years. It would be some years where I could remember it felt like every other week they was fighting. And then it was sometimes I could remember like when they would get into a fight, I'd be thinking like, damn, like this ain't happened like in the last year. So it kind of, and I'm sure it probably, if I could knew specific timeline, I'm sure it probably aligned with employment status. It probably aligned with the season.
That's a different type of domestic violence, though. I was in a house where domestic violence was like done out of anger.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying out of anger, but it's like, okay, is he more easily angered during this time of the year because he don't have no job? That's what I mean by employment status, where it's like every little thing set him off. Or is it like, okay, it's Christmas time, she fussing and nagging because she got to do everything by herself and he don't have nothing to contribute, and now that causes a clash. So I'm just saying, thinking back on it, I'm sure some of the timeline may align with other life events that was going on, but that's how it was in my house. It wasn't like a every week thing. It some years were bad years where it felt like all the damn time I'm waking up, twice a month crying because I hear stuff being thrown and breaking. And then it'll be like for a long time, when it does happen, it's like, oh my God, like this ain't happened in a long time.
That was your experience, and I respect that, but that wasn't my experience. Like my experience was more rapid. Like it was happening all the time, and it wasn't because of season. It wasn't because of that. It was because it was Tuesday and somebody was mad that, the other person wasn't around for 4 or 5 days. So that's what that was about. It wasn't about a season or
I'm not talking about literally a season.
No, I get what you're saying. I respect what you're saying. I'm just saying it's different experience when it's coming from a different place.
Right.
Like I've seen one party sit and stew and be like, I'm going to do something when I see this person. So that's what I'm talking about. Not like.
But even still, you might be able, if you could map out the specific dates and time frames, it could have been like, all right, this happened every pay Friday. So that's what I mean. There may be certain events that happen in people's lives that trigger that, where maybe it happened all year long, but every other week in your house. Now, in somebody else's house, it could be like, this happened every Sunday because he mad because my mom go to church. Or in some families, it could be like, it just happens sporadically, whenever, however, wherever. So, of course, in some families, it could be like, you know what, they only fight on somebody's birthday once a year, which is still, it can be exactly.
There is housing domestic violence too. Can you imagine what that is?
You don't have nowhere to go and you stay there?
Well, obviously, but
well, I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Like, is that the situation?
Housing domestic violence is on average between the hours of 12 o'clock midnight and 8 in the morning. 250 homeless individuals in Philly self-report as victims of domestic violence.
Oh, no. That's not what I was talking about. So, I was thinking of a different scenario. I thought you meant in a situation where you kind of feel, like we talked, you feel stuck because you don't have other housing.
So between the hours of 12 and 8, people are being thrown out of their houses and not being let back in. And they have to self-report as being homeless. I guess if you're not a person of the streets, you got nowhere to go. You know what I'm saying? Like you pick up the phone and I guess you make that call to try to get into a shelter or something and say you're homeless, but it's because your dude threw you out or your girl tossed your ass out.
That's crazy.
So that's using your house as domestic violence. Then there's trauma domestic violence. Due to fear, isolation, and stigma, victims may only come into contact with a service provider until a crisis happens.
Yeah, I'm sure that's more common.
Two things this week happened in this city. Ashley Lockhart was a mother of 6, stabbed 18 times. She had 6 beautiful, beautiful girls. Her oldest was 10. Her youngest was 3 months. She got stabbed to death in a minivan and was stabbed all over her body and in her face, and a knife left in her head. I went to her Instagram. I saw her pictures. I saw the dude, with the kids and all that, and it just brings tears to your eyes, because it's like, what would make you, like, something you have so special? Like, what could she do that make you tick like that, to make you do something like that? I looked at her like saying, babe, happy birthday, you 34. I met you when you was 18. I can't believe we've been together this long. Like, just a bunch of shit. And it's like, damn, bro, like, you stabbed her. She gave you 6 beautiful girls in 10 years.
Yeah.
She been pregnant for 10 years. Like, gave you 6 beautiful girls and just gave you a new girl. And you stabbed her 18 times?
When I hear situations like that, and I didn't look at her Instagram, I did look at her, it's so ironic. Somebody had posted her page, and I don't know the exact timeline. I thought it was posted, how they might say, oh, this is a beautiful family, and somebody shared it. And that is what led me to look through her Facebook page, having no idea. This was the day before it was all over Instagram. So I don't know if it was just a coincidence or but nevertheless, when I see situations like that, it makes me think, and this is just conjecture on my behalf. This wasn't the first time. And it's unfortunate because so many women stay in relationships, like you said. You have those good moments, you celebrating birthdays, happy birthday, baby, we've been together all these years, until it's too late. Like, now it went too far, where it went, like he can't say sorry this time, or y'all can't make up this time, or
when you arguing with her, how don't you think, I'm sorry to cut you off, but when you arguing with her, how don't you see the 6 girls that she gave you? How don't you see the person that's been pregnant for the last decade with your seeds? How do you go from that? I mean, I don't care about frothing at the mouth and arguing and making a fool of yourself. You love her. That's what people do.
Happens?
But to stab her 18 fucking times all over her body like that, in her face?
You know what happens when a woman says, I don't want to be with you anymore? We come to a point that regardless of the 6 kids, I don't want you anymore, and a man's ego is hurt, their pride is hurt, they don't know how to take it. It happens in scenarios like that. And again, I don't know exactly the reason why he did it. It doesn't even matter.
I was ready to say there could be no immeasurable reason to even say, oh, she cheated, still not good enough. She cheated with your brother, still not good enough. Like, she spit in your face, still not good enough. Like, I don't give a fuck what happened. 18 times, bro, you threw away your life and your kid's life like that? Like, just on a whim, 8 o'clock in the morning on a fucking corner in a minivan?
Yeah.
Like, that's where your head is? Like, what the fuck? That's just crazy. I say that to say that happened in Philly. That's domestic violence. She had a protection order on him. That's her baby father.
Okay, so that right there lets you know this wasn't the first time. If she had a PFA on him, there had been some situations that occurred, but obviously for whatever reason, they, maybe because they had kids. So it's hard to have a protection order when there is a co-parenting situation.
It is. It's that just like shocks my heart though. I couldn't imagine being on that corner, waiting on a bus or something, and seeing that lady stabbed like that, and with a knife stuck in her head, and you see something like that. I wouldn't come the fuck back outside. Yeah. Like, that's crazy. I'm gonna see something like that at 8 o'clock in the morning. Like, where the fuck do I live at? Like, I don't want to be here no more. I don't want to be here no more. Nicole Linton held on $9 million bail, 6 counts of murder, 5 counts of gross vehicular manslaughter, driving 100 miles an hour, killed 6 people, including a pregnant woman and her unborn child, facing 90 years because she was mad at her boyfriend. Another domestic violence situation.
Why you say that's domestic violence?
Because she had a fight with her boyfriend and was leaving and was haul-assing in a car. That wouldn't have happened if she was not arguing with her boyfriend.
Okay, arguing versus domestic violence. I didn't know.
It's still considered a domestic violence situation if you leave from a situation that intense and do something like that. To me, it is. I'm justifying it as. I don't see how it's not. If you wasn't in an argument with your boyfriend, you wouldn't have gotten in a car and been doing 100 miles an hour and killed 6 people. Clearly, right?
I mean, it could have been first of all, let's also.
If we would have had sex and I would have left happy, I wouldn't have gotten in a car and drove 90 miles an hour and ran through a red light and killed 6 people.
Let's also address the fact she had 13 other
car crashes. Right, I understand.
I understand, but when you say domestic violence, if nobody was it wasn't a domestic violence situation as far as I know. As far as he put in her hands, they could have had an argument and it just be words, and she stormed off mad. So,
a domestic situation.
Okay.
Not I take violence out. A domestic situation. Father kills his 3 children, then himself while live streaming on Facebook today or yesterday in Oklahoma City because his baby mom cheated on him. Another domestic situation. He took his 3 kids, drove somewhere, sat in a car, and executed them and then shot himself because his baby mom cheated on him.
Yeah, the devil is busy. It's horrific. This is why I say this week has just been tragic. It has been tragic. Again, I don't consider the Nicole Linton situation a domestic incident. I blame her solely because we done had a lot of arguments where, not a lot of arguments where we stormed the house or left. So I won't say that, but we've had some arguments. We had an argument. I backed up and hit the house.
I think it's a domestic situation. I don't think it's domestic violence, but I have to give it domestic situation because I'm in an argument with you. You're in an argument with me. You leave and do something irrational. It's because of that. So now, although there was no violence, it's a domestic situation. Just like if we're arguing real loud and our neighbor called the cops are going to come and say this is a domestic situation. That's what they're going to say. So that's why I put that on there. I'm not trying to put some sauce on something or put more weight on her than she has. I mean, she's facing 90 years with a $9 million bill.
One of them.
So I think she's going to get what she deserves. She killed a pregnant woman and her baby.
Not only that, this was this was her MO.
Yeah,
13 accidents.
Like that, yeah.
What's your problem?
So that's it. The violence just has to stop, mainly against women. I mean, there's women out there who beat men up, and that should stop too. But specifically tonight, we're talking about men beating up women and killing women. This shit has to stop. The shit really has to stop. You should love your woman. If the person you with ain't somebody you don't want to see hurt, then get the fuck away from them. Plain and simple. Get away from them. Again, anybody in these situations, the hotline is 800-799-7233. You can call somebody and you can start a text chat with 88788. 3 grams.
You looking at me for 3 grams?
No.
Oh, I'm about to say, wait. That wasn't
No, I had a lot of cards tonight.
Okay.
3 grams. Serena Williams retired.
Well, she said she doesn't like the word retirement. She is evolving from tennis.
This is a woman who is ranked number 1 for 319 weeks in a row. Her tennis record is 192-34. That's 85% win. She has 23 Grand Slam titles, 73 career titles, 4 gold medals, won the Australian Open, French Open, Wimbledon, U.S. Open. She won 13 Grand Slams on hard court. She has countless records. This is one of the most, one of the highest, this is one of the top athletes in sports history. Top 5 easily in sports history. Serena Williams is a GOAT in her sport. She's a GOAT in her era, and she is one of the top 5. And if anybody don't have her in their conversation, then you hate, and you hate on women too.
Yeah, she is evolving from tennis, and I've never seen the movie. I do want to see it. I heard it was good.
I didn't either, and I was hearing things about it when this
yeah,
actually
King
hit the...
Richard. So maybe we'll watch that. That we always look for a good watch. But yeah, I do want to see. I think she has nothing else to prove. I mean, that's not to say she can't still win, but you know, to be able to evolve and go on to whatever the next thing is in her life, and she don't have to do nothing else that she don't want. But to have that opportunity at such a young age, big kudos.
She's
to her.
in a top 5
She is black
athletes.
girl magic personified,
and not like just black women or women athletes. Top 5 athletes, period, ever. And my top 5 would be Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Serena Williams, Floyd Mayweather, and I'm missing somebody else I can't think of. Kobe Bryant. That's my top 5, and she's right there with the men. If they had a Mount Rushmore with 5 people, she'd be chiseled right in there with them. Angela Lee, leaving the Breakfast Club.
Angela who?
Angela Lee.
Her name is Angela Yee.
Oh, Yee. That's right. She is Chinese. She leaving the Breakfast Club.
You know I won't miss her.
Why?
I mean,
it's a big deal. Breakfast Club been going on for 10 years.
I enjoy the Breakfast Club. I really like Charlemagne as the
Shouts out to Charlotte.
Yeah, you know, he's my favorite cast member. If they're a cast, I don't know.
Radio personality.
Okay, radio personality. Well, on that show, I mean, I don't know any other radio personalities, but nevertheless,
You know DJ Envy. You know Angela Yee.
I mean, outside of that show, I don't know any other radio personalities.
Oh, Joe Button is a radio personality.
I didn't know he was still on the radio.
Yeah.
Okay. Nevertheless, happy for her. From what I saw, she got a syndicated show on her own. It's just something about her.
It's kind of corny.
She's educated, but yeah, she's just not my speed. Her voice, the speed of her voice, the sound of her voice. She just doesn't do it for me, but I'm happy for her, and she's been successful at what she does. So
shouts out to Angela.
Yeah, shouts out. Do you think that they'll replace her? Do you think
they
it will
are
just be the two?
No, she said they're replacing her, and she will be there until the replacement is done, and hopefully.
Yeah, she said for the rest of the month.
She hoped that she can help in the auditions, but she said that she won't. They won't have a replacement until the chemistry is there, until the two guys say we're good.
I think that'll be cool if they just
one
have
name was
guests.
One name was floating around was Remy Ma. And Angela was like, that would be great, but Remy's super busy. I don't know if she want to do that every morning, like wake up 6 o'clock and have to be there. Well, wake up 3 o'clock and have to be there.
One thing is weird. I just saw a picture of Remy Ma the other day, and she looks amazing. I like Remy. I don't know.
I can't wear that when you out, but yeah, okay.
I liked her on that show, State of the Society.
State of the Culture.
State of the Culture. It was yeah.
Society.
Same thing. But yeah, so I think
society is so different from the culture.
But I think our culture runs the society.
Yeah. Like our culture is so different from the society.
But I think it would be good to see, the revolving door of guests that they have until they find. Are they specifically looking for a female?
I would think so, right?
Okay.
Like, you got to be inclusive. You're talking about a company like iHeart.
You think it's going to be a black person? Or a person of color?
Right off the bat, I would think they could put Kendra Media in there.
Mona
Mona
she
got
might
her
be
own
too
thing
ratchet.
and probably under contract. Yeah, they could probably put Kendra Media in there.
Under contract, but just like people can do multiple things.
Yeah.
Charlemagne has his thing.
Yeah, but he kind of owns and runs his thing. So it's
I know, but what I'm saying, Angela was doing lip service. Charlemagne was doing multiple things.
But you see, Angela Lee can't do Breakfast Club lip service and her own syndicated show. So sometimes you got to give something up.
Right. So all I'm saying is, with Mona having her podcast and doing the show, that's just two things, which is not.
What else Mona do?
I don't see her nowhere
else. She got
else.
2 kids.
Oh, women can do it all. We can do it all.
Last Graham, this was said about women, and I've seen a lot of women online praising Nick Cannon for saying this, but a lot of women feel taboo about the way they smell. And he said 80% of women stink and don't know it. And I've seen probably 10 different responses from women, and 6 out of the 10 said a lot of women don't know that they stink.
I mean, I find that
Some
hard.
women have girlfriends that like, I smell them, but they don't smell themselves because they're around themselves all the time. And, you know, some people get immune to shit. But it's a lot of women out there, not trying to be funny or malicious, but there's a lot of women out there who don't know that they're having issues. And to have this conversation is like, this can stop a lot of prolonged disease or smell or cancers or, you know.
It's a shame because I feel like you need to have women in your circle who
almost get defensive about it, like who stink, who box stink, like that kind of thing.
I'm telling you, gotta like. I'll say this: my sisters and I, like, I'll pull them aside. Like, I can't say coochie because that hasn't come up, but like underarms, I'm like, yeah, you smell a little, like, you know, go freshen up or, you know, go clean yourself, you know, if that's the situation. I find it hard to believe that as a woman, you don't, let me just say this, and sometimes all of our coochies stink. Like, it just is what it is. It's a moist region. You move too fast, move too long, it's too hot outside. That's why you need to wash it regularly. So that's the fact that it can stink at some points during the day or by the end of the day or whatever the case may be. By midday, if it's too damn hot outside, you are aware and you need to take care of it. So to say it never stinks is like, come on, who you fooling yourself? When it's 100 degrees and you got on tights and you moving real fast and you out for the day, it's gonna get.
Some women out there who constantly on it though, who carry fucking wipes, and if they feel moist they wipe themselves, and they like always freshening up every time they pee.
You can, and there's some women who will have a smell sooner than others. Like, I mean, so I'm not saying every coochie is the same.
Right.
Some women, maybe you can go through the whole day, and, you know, some women may get a little tart in 2 hours, some maybe in 6 hours, some you may last 12 hours. So I'm not saying all coochies are the same, but there are some points when you really, you know for yourself, like, okay, I need to wash. To say a woman who constantly has an issue doesn't know, I can imagine it's fathomable. Because like you said, if you're used to smelling it, then maybe you don't know.
It's like,
but that's weird.
You know, something that stinks in the house and you don't smell it no more. And somebody comes in there and it's like,
what's that smell?
The fuck is that smell? They're like, what smell? Like, you don't smell
like when people have animals and they don't realize like the smell, but
like a dog or something, or whatever the case may be. Somebody could have like garbage next door and it's like you could smell it and they don't, because they always smell garbage.
The sad part about it is it's fixable. So if you have BV, if your pH balance is off, if you're wearing the wrong kind of panties, your diet, all of that ties into your smell. All that ties into your body smell. We know, let you not be eating right and, you know, just not take people, you'll smell like lunch meat. Like, it comes out of your pores. You will smell like lunch meat. It all is about how you take care of yourself, your diet, your hygiene, drinking water. Like, that stuff matters. So it's
your vagina smell like lunch meat?
That's bad.
Wow.
But your body can smell like that, but it's fixable. So I would think, are you not going to the doctor? Because I would hope that the doctor would be like, we have a little odor down here. You know, what are you eating? What products are you? I would think the doctor would have that conversation.
Are women that stubborn, just don't want to, like, take the precautions to do what they're supposed to do?
Some women don't know. I will honestly say
and you only
that.
know what you know. But so if you don't know and you just walking around and you thinking, this is the way coochie smells, this is the way I'm supposed to smell.
And this is one thing that I think men may have, a false perception about. I will say this again. Coochie is not like one size fit all. Like God just passed them out to everybody. Every coochie is different. So one person, what they do to take care of their body may not work for the next person.
Mm-hmm. Some women still use a douche.
Yeah, coochie is just not one size fit all. There are some things that most people should adhere to, but it's not one size fit all. Like it's according to, it's like your skincare. You know, like everything is not one size fit all. Just like your hair ain't the same. Everybody can't use the same hair products. So you have to find what routine works best for you. But again, it is fixable. Like, you know, people say, oh, you eat probiotics, eat yogurt and do this and it'll help with your pH balance and all that. Like, those are things that you have to learn. But the bad part is if you don't know and you don't take the initiative to learn.
6 out of the 10 responses I saw, they said the number was plausible.
Yeah.
That's a fair number. 80% of the women don't know that they
stink.
Wait,
okay, not that 80% of women stink, but 80% of the women that stink don't know.
Right.
Wow. That's wow.
And you just said it's hard for to believe, but that's a high fucking number.
It's plausible that women could not know, but 80%, yeah, that is a high number.
I would think it's just something as simple like you just smell yourself because your legs are right there. Like, it just comes up. Like, how can you not smell? Or when you go to the bathroom.
Right, when you go to pee and all. Yeah. I mean, you gotta really be funky if you smelling it through your clothes.
That's how you know if a woman stinks. Go to the bathroom behind her. Yeah. That's how you know. Whether you in public or where we go that time and they got unisex bathrooms.
Our place in New York.
I ain't gonna say, but that place. It was like, okay, this lady stink. Like, she just came out of here. Like, I know you just came. You still washing your hands. Like, you stink. Yeah. So, yeah.
And pee, guess what? When you pee, it shouldn't stink. Like, it just, unless you drink like a 6-pack of beers a day, your pee shouldn't be
gold. Smoking cigarette Newports. Them Newports to do it.
Yeah, your pee shouldn't be golden and bubbly, and it shouldn't stink.
He said bubbly.
Yeah, like,
it shouldn't be sudsy.
Fizzing. Oh. That's not good. That's not good.
That's it. 1, 2, 3 grams.
What did you learn?
I didn't learn anything this week.
I learned something.
What did you learn?
Nakupenda.
What's nakupenda?
Nakupenda.
What's that?
Nakupenda. It means I love you in Swahili.
Okay, I did learn something. Schadenfreude.
That sounds German.
It's a word. It's not German. It's Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude means you're a person who takes joy in another person's expense. It's called Schadenfreude.
Is the derivative of that word German? It's not?
No.
How do you spell it?
Shaddenfreude.
I think it's German.
Okay. Go down that hill. Okay. I don't know. But that's Act 2 the podcast, episode 83, wrapping up. It's your boy International Walk.
It's your girl Tosh.
You can catch us on our platforms at act2thepodcast.com. You can catch us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Breaker, Google Podcasts. What else we got? Spotify, Twitter. One more. Radio Public. You can catch us on all them platforms. So, Act 2 the podcast, wrapping up episode 83. If you fuck with us, you fuck with us. If you don't, God damn it, by now you should. Peace.